Hello, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. I hope you're all doing well today. To speak for myself, I'm not doing the best. I'm still recovering from a little bit of a cold. But on that topic, I just wanted to give a little message unrelated to the reading for today, and that's to do it when you feel bad. Like, do it sick, do it with acne, do it when you're sad, do it when you're tired, when you have a headache. Like, if you're waiting for that moment of inspiration to hit before you film a video or work on that project or even do something like journaling, like you're like, I'm just not really in the mood, I'm not really feeling inspired, or maybe tomorrow when I feel better, like that time is never going to come. You just have to do it now with what you have now, and if anything, doing something will actually like get you out of that rut, and that when you work on that project, even if you weren't feeling the best that day, at the end of it you'll probably be feeling a lot more inspired than you were when you began, and then it kind of sets you up to get the ball rolling, so then the next day you kind of have a little bit of that inspiration from the progress you've made. And the topic of today's reading, I wanted to talk a little bit about these feelings of feeling a little bit different. So maybe in some points of your life, it kind of felt like it was to your detriment. So you felt like you really stood out from the crowd in a bad way, and that maybe you became like a target. And like, I felt like kind of people were like laughing at you behind your back, and you just really couldn't relate to the world at large. But in other ways, this could have been good for you because you really realized that you had unique gifts and talents at a very early age, and you've just always known that there were things that were different about you. But now it's kind of getting to the point in your life where you're like, how do I exploit these individual unique qualities about me in order to really make myself shine? And how do I relate to other people and form these like deeper connections when I feel that there's kind of like this barrier that I've just never been able to cross? So hopefully this reading will give you a little bit of guidance on these feelings if you can relate to this. All right, so our first card, we've got Fish. Okay, so I get the sense that your unique traits are kind of your lure. Because at the end of the day, everyone is unique, and at the end of the day, we all have this kind of commonality of like this shared humanity. But a lot of the times, people won't get to experience your humanity until they really get to know you on a deeper level. And the unique traits that you have in the world on this like surface level, so it could be like the way you dress and aspects of your personality, those are the lure that bring people in order for them to get to know you on a deeper level. So maybe you have these feelings like, I just wish that when I came to a conversation with someone, we could skip all the pretense and we could just get into that deep like heart to heart and just recognize that shared humanity in each other. But I think what you have to understand is that you kind of have to get through this process of like attracting people on the surface level before you can get to that deeper point. And sometimes it could be frustrating, and sometimes it could feel like just like a little annoying that people are so superficial, but unfortunately that is the way the world works, and you might be doing it completely unconsciously too, but you're always assessing people for their surface level traits as well. So just being like really aware and conscious of what these traits are that you're putting out to the world will help you attract these deeper connections where people might actually be able to realize your humanity at the end of that. Mask. Okay, so I think this kind of relates a lot to the last card, so it's really thinking intentionally about like what kind of mask you're showing to the world, because you don't necessarily want to be disguising yourself, because you do want to highlight those traits and things that make you special, but at the same time understanding like how you're portraying yourself. So for example, like maybe you've put on the mask of someone who's just a little bit tragic or a little bit sad, and it just feels like nothing is going right in your life. And if someone asks you how your day's going on a day-to-day basis, maybe even for years of your life, you're just like, bad. Honestly, it's just like terrible. And I'm sorry to say, and my sympathies to you if you really are feeling in this miserable mood all the time, but no one wants to be around this kind of Debbie Downer type. Like, if you've ever heard the term energy vampire, you might be giving a little bit of this. Because when you're just so morose all the time, maybe you think it seems a little romantic or like a little complex, but really at the end of the day, it's just not fun. Like, when you want to like attract other people to like want to spend time around you, you kind of have to be a little bit of an entertainer, right? Like, if you think about someone going on stage, and like don't get me wrong, I listen to a lot of musicians that kind of have this sad vibe to them, but at the same time, they still know how to work a crowd. They still know how to get everyone hyped up, you know, how's everyone doing tonight? And, you know, like get the crowd cheering, right? I think that's kind of how you have to approach certain interactions. It's not just be like, oh, I'm sulking, mumbling, like I don't really want to be here right now. Like, no, like at least come with a little bit of vibrancy and make the people that you're talking to feel like you actually want to talk to them. All right, let's see what else we've got. Joker. Okay, so this relates so much to what I was just saying, is like kind of coming in with this almost like comedian aspect, right? Because within all of us, we have these poles of tragedy and comedy, right? And you can kind of choose to switch between them and, you know, sometimes play up the tragic side of you for comedic effect even, maybe, but like at the end of the day, you have to realize like you can lean into that pole of having this Joker, innocent, playful, fun mentality, right? Like inside of us, we all have the capacity for joy or for sorrow, and it's just a matter of shifting towards either pole. And you could argue and like make excuses and say like my brain is just wired this way, but honestly, if you really put in the effort to shift your mindset, and you know, maybe there's other aspects too that you need to work on, you know, if you believe in taking medication and that sort of thing. Like, I'm not giving you psychiatric advice on depression here, but just like when it comes to your personality and shifting into a more fun, energetic personality, you have that capability within you. It's completely just a switch that you can flip, and if you wanted to tomorrow, you could show up to your interactions with this Joker fun kind of mentality, right? But at the same time, you don't want to overplay it, right? Because if you've ever met that sort of class clown type, it's almost funny because they're going so hard into this Joker aspect that you can see the sorrow within them, and that they can't actually even be real about the pain and struggles that they're facing, right? So it's important to like not be completely in the mode of just like, you know, I'm just so silly, you can't take me seriously, I don't have any problems. Like really finding that balance in between the two of like, you know, I understand that my pain is real and the things that I've been through are genuinely really painful, but I'm still choosing to show up every day as kind of like, you know, I'm still having fun, I'm seeing where life goes, and the things that happened to me in the past are in the past, and I'm kind of ready to just like go along with the game that we're playing today and just like see what happens. Alright, then we got the Shield. So I get the sense again, like, if you feel like you can't really relate to other people, it might not be that you're just like so different. Yeah, you're the only person on Earth who's had these struggles. You're the only one who knows what it feels like to be isolated and alone. Like, it could actually be the case that you're building a barrier between yourself and other people through this mentality, especially, is you've just kind of really too much overthinking, where you're just thinking like, are these thoughts normal to have? Like, does anyone else feel this way? There's no way anyone else feels this way. Like, this is a unique struggle and I need to fit in with the crowd. But really what it could be the case is that, like, it's just hard because when you start having these thoughts, it's, like, hard to be vulnerable about them. It's hard to show up and say, like, I feel this way and no one talks about it, and I don't know if I'm the only one, and I don't want to, like, be weird around my friends trying to talk about this stuff because like maybe they'll just look at me like I'm stupid or like that, like I'm crazy, and they just don't know what I'm talking about. But I get the sense that if you lower your shield a little bit and you try and be a little bit vulnerable in some of your interactions, that maybe you would realize that a lot of people actually go through these things too, and that really being more vulnerable and open is like how you can form connections to people. So if you have this feeling of like always staying at the surface level sort of small talk interactions, and you just have this feeling of like, you know, I'll just never be able to relate to this person or even anyone on like a deeper level, it could be that you need to lower your shield a little bit. And it kind of is this a process of reciprocation where once you start to lower your shield and be a little bit vulnerable, then other people will be the same around you as well. And this doesn't necessarily mean oversharing, because I think that a lot of people will share their trauma quite freely and yet still be very emotionally unavailable, and just kind of inaccessible, where like it's almost like they're reading off of a sheet of paper, listing the horrible things that have happened to them in this like deadpan voice, and like not associating it with any feelings, because probably they've been so disconnected from the trauma that they've experienced that's like alienated them from the feelings and sensations in their body. But really what true emotional vulnerability is like being able to understand how you're feeling and like explain it. And like I think that it's important to really consider how your trauma makes you feel. But when you're coming to like interactions with new people, maybe kind of try and be a little bit present in the moment of like, how am I feeling right now? How is this person making me feel? And can I express that to them? Like, being really honest with your friends, like being like, it's so great to hang out with you guys. I really feel great when I'm around you. Like, it's been a really fun night and that sort of thing. Like, that is the sort of emotional vulnerability that can actually go a really long way and not be a detriment to you. So really don't get it twisted. Don't think that you have to be sharing your trauma with people in order to be seen as vulnerable. Because like really true vulnerability is in the honesty of what you're feeling in the present moment, not just reciting a list of horrible things that have happened to you. All right, then we've got incense. So I get the sense that you could honestly just be a little bit of an introvert. Like if you have this feeling of like, I don't really enjoy being around people all the time. Like, sometimes I really do get a lot of value out of it. And especially like one-on-one conversations with a friend, it's just really great. And I do love to socialize, but at the same time, there's times when I just want to be alone and I just want to be alone with my thoughts and really like work on things by myself. And sometimes my life goals don't always seem to involve like having really large connected groups of people and like seeing other people all the time. Maybe you want to sort of be a sole proprietor of your business and you don't necessarily want to have business partners. And I think that this is okay, and it could just mean that you have this introverted personality. And it doesn't necessarily mean that there's anything wrong with you. If you do have these feelings of like, I would like to have a greater connection to other people, then certainly that's something you should work on. But if you've just been kind of told this thing that like, you can't just sit in your room alone, like you have to go out there and, interact with other people, and this is something you've internalized of like, oh, there's something wrong with me because I don't want to do that. I think it's important to know that it's okay, that just spending time in quiet contemplation with yourself can be really rewarding, and it's okay, and like it's a good thing if you're enjoying it and you feel like things are on track for you and you don't feel like the need to go out and socialize all the time, like that's fine. Alright, and then we've got the butter knife. So I get the sense, I've talked about the meaning of this card a little bit before, and I think I want to go back to that. It's just like, it's the duality of the butter knife, right? It spreads butter. It's so soft, it's so blunt, and yet it's still a knife. And, maybe if you see it from far away, you might think, that's a real knife that could cut, but you get up close and you realize, oh, it's got the soft edge, right? So I get the sense that this might be kind of the vibe that you give off if you've had trouble relating to people, and especially if people tell you these things, like, you seem really intense, you seem really intimidating, you kind of don't know how to show your soft side right away. So even if like, I'm just a softie inside, like, you might just give off this knife energy. And honestly, again, I don't think that there's anything wrong with this, but it's important to be conscious of, because if you want to put people at ease, it could be a good thing to reflect on the fact of like, okay, sometimes in interactions, especially with new people, I come off as a little bit intense. And I'm not saying you need to put on an act or something, but if you want to really put people at ease, it could be a good idea to think about, okay, what's like one thing I could do to show this person that I'm really am feeling warm and receptive and want to talk to them, and that I'm not this like scary standoffish monster or anything like that. So like something like, going in for a hug, and like, if you're not into physical contact, I think that's okay. I definitely grimace a little bit when I get hugged by other people. It has to be me initiating, or it's just, I'll just freeze up like that. But sometimes if you just want to put someone at ease and you can tell that maybe they're like a little bit scared of you, like kind of breaking that physical barrier, or just like cracking a joke and not like just faking a smile, because you can tell when someone's doing that, but just like genuinely showing that you're enjoying yourself and you're enjoying being in someone's presence, it'll just put them at ease so much more than if you're just kind of being like really rigid and awkward and knife-like. Okay, let's see what else we've got. The dog. So going back to like unique kind of individual qualities. So I think it's like this really relates to the concept of dog breeds, right? Like, there are so many dog breeds. None is better than the other. People will definitely argue for their favorite breed of dog. And, maybe the dog that they have in their home might be their favorite breed of dog, but that doesn't necessarily mean that breed is better than any other. And every dog breed kind of has this different purpose. Like, some are better at sniffing out truffles. Some are better at just being a companion. some are better at being seeing eye dogs. Like, every kind of person and personality traits and just like hobbies and skills, like all of these relate to a different place in the world, and there's not really any hierarchy of like who is more like useful or who is better, and like that doesn't exist, right? Like everyone has unique qualities that can shine in a given situation. So to really look at it as like appreciating other people's uniqueness will help you appreciate your own unique qualities. So if you kind of just see everyone as like this kind of congealed mass of like it's me versus them, so it's like me with my individual qualities that I kind of hate because I'm not like the crowd, and then the crowd and they're all just kind of the same, this is going to keep you held back in this mindset of this feeling really alone and isolated. When you can look at people at large and understand that everyone has such a different story that they bring to a conversation and bring to a group dynamic, and just like different personalities that can shine in different ways, then you'll start to understand like, okay, I too have a place in this world. I too have a place in this group. Even if I'm feeling a little bit different than the other people, like that's actually a good thing. And I can appreciate that other people are different too, and then I don't feel like the only one, because I can see, okay, like this person does really well in this setting, but then in this setting maybe they need a little bit of help, and then you can kind of give yourself that grace as well. Instead of feeling like, wow, I just wish I could be good at everything, you start to understand like, maybe this is just not the place for my talents to shine right now. All right, what else do we have? Property. Okay, so I get the sense that maybe you have the feeling that like, because you're so different, the formula is not going to work for you. And I think this could actually be true. Like, if you really want to fulfill that status quo myth, like, let's not get it twisted, right? It is a myth that do XYZ, you'll be happy, like white picket fence and your mortgage and all that. Like, there's kind of this idea that this is like what works for everyone, and that this is kind of like an end goal that you should be striving for. But at the same time, like, this is actually kind of a lie of capitalism. So, like, don't really get into that too much. But, like, when it comes to even just, like, working a 9 to 5, like, you might just get the sense that, like, this is not quite for me. And, I think more people are starting to realize that, like, this is a good thing. And that, like, the way that we have to approach work and our life paths and making money, or just our concept of that might need to shift a little bit. So I think that if you're having these feelings, to like really understand and validate those within yourself, and understand that your life path might look a little bit different from the propaganda or the things that you've kind of been fed as a emerging person in your life, or like especially as a child, like this really rigid thought that you have, like, this is a pathway and I'm diverging from the pathway. Maybe look at it more like there's no path, right? You're just walking into a forest and you can choose to set up camp wherever you want. That's more like the vibe. And once you sort of break out of this lie that you've been told about, like, what is the right way? And like, I'm diverging from the right way. Like, there is no right way. You can just you can do whatever you want. All right, so let's like maybe think a little bit about like forging these new connections, okay? Like, maybe you've kind of fumbled some social situations, and maybe you can come back to those people later and you'll reconnect by some chance encounter. But I think sometimes it's likely that you just need to give up on sorry, that sounds a little pessimistic, but just get what you've learned from these social situations that you might have fumbled in the past, and really try and approach new social situations with like a fresh, clean slate. So some advice on like making new friends. Okay, mirror. So I think it's really important to understand that a lot of the times what you see in other people actually has very little to do with them and has a lot to do with yourself. And like, obviously, to appreciate other people as a unique individual, you need to understand at what points you're projecting yourself or just seeing yourself in them. Because this can like really cause this feeling of disconnect, and you've probably experienced this as well. It's like maybe you've told someone something, like an issue in your life, or this feeling that you have that you're trying to get guidance on, or just like you just want to be seen, like you just want to have your feelings acknowledged and validated, and they come at you with this like crazy assumption where you're just like, where did you even get that from? Like, that's not what I'm saying at all. It's not true at all. Like, I can't believe you think that about me. Like, it's really important to understand that that's because this person is just seeing something of themselves in you, and like it's not necessarily accurate to you or your life story or like the honesty of your emotions. And I think that it's also really important to like understand when you're doing this to other people, because a lot of times people just don't realize this at all. And you, like, it's a lot easier to realize when it's being done to you than to realize when you're doing it to other people. And so what this could look like in like solving this problem could be like, when someone says something to you, like really listen and validate, and before you try to relate it to something in your own life, like really just try and think about like how they're actually feeling, and like exercise your abilities of empathy, because you definitely are quite capable of empathy. It's just a matter of like exercising that gift and really like trying to come to an interaction with this like fresh mind of like, you know, I'm kind of putting away some of my like thoughts that I've had in the past, and like misconceptions, or like there's conceptions that I have about this person, or like maybe a group that they belong to, of like men are gonna act and think this way, or women are gonna act and think this way, that sort of thing. Like really coming to it with just like, you know, I'm here to listen to you and witness your experience. And I think that in this way, you'll actually get the best of this mirroring capability that conversation can bring, is that when someone really feels that you're acknowledging them and not just projecting yourself onto them, it just like creates more of like an open possibility for you to get like valuable insights on yourself instead of just like projecting yourself onto another person, if that makes sense. All right, and then a little bit more guidance on making new connections. Curtain. Okay, so I get the sense that I think this kind of really goes back to like some of the first cards we were talking about here, is just like this concept of performance and like bringing your all to a performance. So like when a performer goes on stage and they've like practiced their instrument so much that it's become muscle memory, I get the sense that this is kind of like what you're bringing when you're ready to showcase your unique abilities and gifts. And I think that if you've had this really long-term feeling of just like, I'm so different, you know, like these are the things that make me different, and you really recognized those qualities, that it's almost like preparation, so that when you come to a new interaction, you can kind of show these off. So it's like a practice routine in some ways. And like at the same time, it's not like, you know, line for line, reading off a script in this kind of cold, like table read fashion. But it's like when you've internalized the character so much that you're able to perform it fluidly and in a very alluring and entertaining way. So I get the sense that it's kind of your moment to shine when you're meeting a new person, and to really not hold back and really understand like, this is what makes me special and I'm proud of it and I want to show it off, and understand that this is like what's going to help me make friends, is by being different, not by just trying to be like everyone else. Be yourself. That's the moral of the story. It's the moral of all the stories. Okay. Another card on making new friends. Focus. So I get the sense that you just like should really be grounded and like connecting with people. When you're trying to make a new friend, it's important to not just like have your attention floating everywhere and like, I'm so worried about all the things that are going on in my life, and like when it comes to conversation, maybe you're kind of just like floating all over the place thinking about like, I have all the stuff to do next week, and like there's all the stuff going on in my personal life, and I just kind of want to like pour everything out and like just vomit onto this person all these things that I'm thinking about. Like maybe lock in and just focus on, okay, I'm being present with this person in this moment. Their time is very valuable, and I want to focus on getting to know them and focus on building this connection. So I get the sense that when you're really locked in this way, like it'll just be so much more rewarding for both of you, and you won't have that feeling of just like talking past each other and like not really feeling connected, that when you really like give your full attention to someone and give them your focus, and like if you look on this card, you've got the eyeball, like the eye contact is very important, like just showing someone that you're paying attention to them and that you're witnessing them. And when you do this, you'll get the same in return, and you'll really feel seen and accepted. All right, so let's close it off with maybe one more card, just sort of some healing advice or like motivational energy on this topic. Wig. Okay, this is kind of an interesting card to close out on. So I get the sense that it's like you can wear so many different wigs, right? Like it's the kind of the idea of wearing a lot of different hats, except the wig is even closer to your mind. um, so, you might have been a different person at different stages of your life. And I think what this card is trying to say is like, you can really be intentional about like who you are in this moment. And like, obviously there's like some types of person who you just wouldn't be just because that's not really something that aligns with you perhaps in this lifetime of like, okay, everyone has the capability for evil and that sort of thing, but like maybe in this lifetime you're a nice person, so you're not really going to cross over into like that sort of range of like human behavior. But at the same time, like within the range of human behavior that you could inhabit, like you need to understand that you have so many choices. So if you really wanted to just be like kind of like a friendly, mothering comfort to someone, you could do that. And you could put on that wig and you could be that person in that moment. Or if you wanted to be kind of like seductive and flirty and like really like an erotic, sensual person, like you could connect to that in that moment when it feels appropriate. So understanding that sometimes you can bring out different sides of your personality depending on the situation. And this doesn't mean faking or like making up a fake personality or that sort of thing. Like at the end of the day, it is still you, but it's like what traits you're choosing to show off in that moment, because you do have all these like unique skills and things that you've developed. And it's your own brand of seduction. It's your own brand of mothering, if that's what you want to do. And just like kind of leaning into like, I have developed in all these different ways, like branching out. And when I show myself to a person, it's almost like I'm picking the end of one branch to show them. But at the end of the day, it all still connects back to the same roots. So hopefully this reading gave you a little bit of like confidence in this matter, maybe a little bit of guidance on some next steps to take if you're trying to sort of work through some of these issues. And I really appreciate you guys so much for all the support that you've given me on this channel and in my other endeavors. I'm very excited to be giving live readings for the first ever time in my life this week. Fingers crossed. No, I know it's gonna go well, but I just want to say that I couldn't have done it without the support of all my friends, both online and in person, who have supported my channel and my endeavors. Like, it's been kind of a crazy journey only within the last year since I've been really posting videos and putting myself out there like that. So it just makes me happy to see how much I've grown, and that like I couldn't have done it without you guys. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.